many people who find my work have already tried sound. Meditation tracks, binaural beats, sound baths, frequencies calibrated to take the brain into different states that feel like coming home. And most of them will tell you the same thing. Yes, it helped. Something calmed, that their sleep improved, the edge came off whatever had been running. And I want to be very clear here that what I'm discussing is not telling you that any of this is wrong. I've worked with sound for so many years. I was running group sound work before it became what it is now, before sound healing filled every wellness calendar and every retreat schedule. And I've been a musician for as long as I can remember. Sound has always been something I've been inside of, and my system responds to it so deeply. So when I say what I'm about to say, it comes from watching and observing, from years of working directly with the body and the whole system, and from watching what actually happens and what doesn't. And here's what I've observed. The system doesn't just hear sound. It orients to it. So right now, without thinking about it, your body knows roughly where you are in space, what's near, what's far, what's behind you, what's moving. You're not calculating that. The system is doing it continuously, automatically, beneath everything else you're doing. Sound is part of how it does that. Not just what comes through your ears, but how sound moves through the environment. How it reflects off surfaces, how it carries information about distance and direction, and whether anything in your environment requires attention. That process involves the whole system. And the skin, it reads it, then the fascia responds to it, the bones conduct it, the vestibular system uses it, the body and field is constantly positioning itself in relation to everything sound is telling it about the space it's in. And this isn't just hearing, this is the body reading its world. And when sound is in the environment, genuinely in the space around you, the whole system is doing all of that simultaneously. It's orienting, it's adjusting, it's testing, it's mapping. The sound comes from a direction, it has distance, it reflects directly off different surfaces, it changes as you move through the space. And so when you're outside and there is bird song, the system isn't just hearing it, it is locating it. It knows roughly how far away it is, which direction, whether it's moving. And it's not just through the ears, it's through the way the whole body is positioned in relation to that sound. So the skin, the fascia, the subtle postural adjustment that happens automatically as the system orients. That is extraordinarily rich information. And the system evolved inside this kind of input for a very, very long time. It knows how to read it. It knows how to settle into it. Now, you put headphones on. Much of what I just described reduces or disappears. And so the input becomes localized, it becomes internal. There is no space to orient to, there's no direction, no distance. The sound is simply there, inside the head and the brain processes it. The body is far less involved in the way it should be when sound is genuinely in the environment around you. The nervous system is obviously still responding. I want to be really precise about that. And brainwave states do shift. We know that. Something in the system genuinely moves. But the whole body orienting process, the skin, the fascia, the postural adjustment, the field around you reading the space, that is significantly reduced. And that layer or those layers matter for what we are talking about here. So the brain can be moved by what goes through the ears. You can feel calmer, you can feel quieter, something genuinely changes in how you feel. Those experiences are real. But what headphones do, by their very nature, is narrow and bias how the system receives input. They move sound toward the brain and away from the whole body orienting process. And so the body was given a different experience while the whole body process remained significantly less engaged. And a system that has been given a different experience while the body itself remained less involved has not reorganized in the way it reorganizes when the whole system is engaged. Because the body is not a passive vessel that experiences what the brain processes. The body is where the structure of how the system functions actually lives. So in the tissues, in the nervous system, in the energetic system, in the field. What changes that structure is not just what the brain experiences. It is what the whole body receives, what it orients to and integrates. Which is why something can shift in the session and return afterward. And it's not because the experience wasn't real, because it was, but because the whole system wasn't fully in it. And this matters more now than it ever has, because the system most people are walking around in today is already carrying more than it was designed to carry. There's constant input. There's artificial environments, the electromagnetic load of modern life running through everything. The system is already oversaturated. It's already running at a baseline charge that never fully discharges. And then we add more input, even input designed to calm it. But more input into a saturated system doesn't always help it reorganize. Sometimes it simply changes how you feel while the structure underneath stays exactly where it was. And this is the question I keep coming back to. When you stop, does it stay? And I want to ask this really carefully because for some people, genuinely, it does. There is real change that does happen. Something shifts and potentially holds. And I have seen that. But for so many, and this is what I keep watching, if maintaining the shift requires returning to the same intensity, the same practice, the same peak state repeatedly, then the baseline structure hasn't changed. And the system learned to access a different state. It didn't reorganize into a different way of functioning. So it's not the memory of the experience and not the intention to do it again tomorrow. It's the actual change in how your system is running underneath everything. If you have to keep doing it to maintain what it creates, then what changed was your state. And your state and your system are not the same thing. I've watched people have enormously powerful experiences with sound. I have as well. Things opening, something releasing that felt incredibly profound in the moment and moments after that. And then gradually, quietly returning to the same patterns, to the same constrictions, to the same baseline. And we have to say again that it wasn't because the experience wasn't real. It was real. The state was real. It was because the structure that was holding those patterns never actually changed. And I want to say something important because I don't want this to become a dismissal of any form of sound work. It isn't that. Sound meditation, multiple instruments, layered frequency, different tones and vibrations moving through a space together. These can be and are extraordinary. And for certain systems at certain points in the work, they reach layers that other things don't touch. The depth of what skilled sound work can do when the system is ready to receive it, that is real. And I've seen it, and I've done that. But the system has to be able to receive it. So a system that is already saturated does not always benefit from more input, even beautiful input, even carefully crafted frequencies or vibrations, even the most skilled sound work in the room. When the system is overwhelmed, it doesn't open, it braces. And it will tell you this clearly if you are listening. There could be a sense of too much, of nausea and irritation, of not being able to drop, a tightening, a closing rather than an opening. Something in the system that says, not now, not this, not at this intensity. And intensity doesn't mean loud. It doesn't mean strong. Intensity could be very gentle. And most people override that signal. They push through, assuming discomfort means something is breaking open, that any form of intensity means progress. And I want to be really precise here because this is where it becomes important. Intensity can create real change. We know that. You can have peak states, you can have elevated emotion, you can have powerful experiences. These do move things in a system. They can open things up. I'm not saying otherwise. But the question is where that change goes. So in a system that is already carrying more than it can process, intense input doesn't always move through. It can push things deeper. And the system reorganizes around the intensity rather than releasing what it is holding. So the charge moves, but it moves down and not through. And this is subtle enough that the person often doesn't notice it. The experience feels like breakthrough, but weeks or months later, they find themselves in a harder place than before without understanding why. Because the system didn't release what it was holding. It learned a new way to hold it. And the system is so intelligent. It will do whatever it needs to do to manage what it receives. And if what it receives exceeds what it can integrate and move, it contains it. It reorganizes around it. It pushes it into a layer or more layers where it can be held more efficiently. That is just the system protecting itself with the resources and intelligence that it has. But it is not reorganization, and it is not the baseline changing. The system doesn't reorganize under any sort of force. It adapts to force. And your mind may not think that it is force. And adaptation and reorganization are not the same thing. When something is too much, the system doesn't open. It contracts around what is being done to it. And sometimes it learns to override its own signal, to go offline in ways that accumulate without the person being aware of it. That signal or signals, the body's capacity to tell you what it can and cannot integrate or move, isn't actually an obstacle. It is intelligence. And learning to listen to it rather than override it is itself part of what changes as the work deepens. So this is not about rejecting sound. It is not about saying, stop using what helps you sleep, stop using what calms the system down. Calming the system is profound. It is needed. It is healing. I'm not dismissing that. But calming the system and changing how the system functions at its baseline are not the same. And if you've been using sound for years, if you've been doing practices, if something shifts and then returns, it is information. It is the system telling you that a deeper layer hasn't been reached yet. That layer and further layers exist, and they can be reached, but it doesn't respond to what the brain can hear alone. It responds to what the whole body, the whole system can feel, what it can orient to, what it can receive and integrate at the pace it is actually capable of, not the pace we decide it should be capable of. And learning to listen and feel and experience to what the system can and cannot work with in any given moment, that is not a small thing. That is the beginning of a completely different relationship with how change actually happens. Not experience, structure, not state, baseline. Not what opens in the session, but what remains when the session is over and ordinary life has resumed. That is the measure. And if you want to find out where your system is working at the moment, not where you think it is, not where your practice tells you it is, try something like this. Get a small speaker, like a UE boom, and play different things through it. Different tones, different music, different frequencies, your favorite meditation, different kinds of sound. Place it on the body. Then move it away, then further away still. And just notice. Not whether it sounds good, not whether you like it. Notice what your whole system does. So your body, your nervous system, the brain, your cells in the body, your energetic system, the field that is around you, consciousness. Does something respond? Does something contract? Does something feel like too much immediately? Or does almost nothing register at all? Then go further. What is the field doing? Not just the body, the space around the body, further away from you, the energetic system within you as well. Is it responding to what's near it? Can it feel the difference between one tone and another? What is that doing to the environment around you? Or is the charge within you running so high, the noise so constant, that something this subtle doesn't reach it? And sound and vibration and frequency should be felt and heard and experienced by all different parts of the body in different ways. But that's not a practice. It's not a technique. It's just, what is your system actually telling you right now? Are you feeling a constriction? Are you feeling movement of energy through? Are you feeling slightly nauseous? Are you feeling a contraction? Because it's been telling you all along. Most people just haven't been taught to listen at that level yet. And so the body already knows the difference. Your energetic system knows the difference. Your cells know the difference. Your brain knows the difference. Your field knows the difference. It's already telling you what it can integrate and what it can't. The question is whether you've learned to listen to that or whether you've learned to override it.